homily for the 11th Sunday of the year B. Sowing seeds of the kingdom. Our readings for today are from Ezekiel chapter 17 verse 22 to 24, 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 6 to 10, and the Gospel of St. Mark chapter 4 verse 26 to 34. The first reading from the prophet Isaiah is about God's power over life and death. God is in absolute control. It is in His power to give life and to take it away. In the second reading, Paul teaches that we should not aim at pleasing the flesh, but at pleasing God. He emphasizes that even when we are here on earth, away from our eternal home, we should strive to be in union with the Lord, so that on the last day we will be admitted into His kingdom. Our gospel passage from Mark is on the kingdom of God, which Jesus describes as a tiny little seed that grows to become a big tree. How it happens, we do not know. Parable of seeds. We reflect today on two parables of the kingdom, as seen in prophet Ezekiel chapter 17 verse 22 to 24 and in the Gospel of Mark chapter 4 verse 26 to 34. They are meant to inspire hope, trust, patience, perseverance, and encouragement among believers who would otherwise be discouraged by difficult circumstances. Believers are to find encouragement in the fact that God is the overarching controller of the universe. God has not handed the affairs of the world to the devil. He is in charge, and there is a purpose to every event of our lives. It shall all be well. There are many who are very much concerned today that the religion of Christ may soon be wiped out due to the many challenges it is confronted with from the enemies of the faith. But they must recognize that God works in mysterious ways. The mission of the Christian church is His, not ours. Our task is to be faithful to Him. He is the one that makes seeds germinate, grow, and bear fruit. He has promised that the gates of hell will not prevail against His church. Perhaps we should be more concerned about the quality of our own faith commitment and the degree of our courage and perseverance. Another word for witnessing is martyrdom. To be a witness of Christ, one may suffer some form of martyrdom, some form of dying or giving up of something for the sake of Christ. The periods of the greatest persecution of the Christian church in the past turned out to be the periods of the greatest growth. The expression, "the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church," aptly reflects this. Unfortunately, it is when things appear easy for the Christian mission, when it appears easy to be a Christian, when everyone can practice their faith openly without hindrance, that some form of complacency and a measure of compromise with the world set in. Our God often reveals Himself when people think that all is lost and they are about to give up. God has done this repeatedly through the course of history. Lessons of the parable of the seeds. The parable of seeds offers some very valuable lessons for us Christians. First, the readings admonish us not to expect instant results. They teach us to be patient, to wait, and to trust in God. Waiting is often counterintuitive for the modern mind, as we live in a world of instant communication, instant delivery, and instant results. But certain things take time. Some things cannot be rushed. An example of such things abound. It takes time to build a good relationship with someone. It takes time to get to know and understand one's spouse. It takes time to raise good, God-fearing children. It takes time to acquire technical skills. It takes time to overcome sinful habits, to develop godly virtues, or to become good Christians. There are no shortcuts to the more important things in life. We therefore need to cultivate the emotional, psychological, and spiritual resources to manage the gap between desire and realization. Secondly, we must recognize and accept that certain things are beyond our control. Everything does not depend on us because we do not have all the variables. Sometimes we must simply wait in patience, in trust, in humility, and in hope for God to manifest His inscrutable designs. As believers, we are now and again called to let go and let God. In Jesus' parable, the farmer only sowed the seed. The rest was beyond his control. He was anxious to see the seed grow, but he could do nothing about it. He had to go and sleep and simply wait while the miracle of growth unfolds. As Christians, we must learn to do only our best and allow God to do the rest. We must, however, play our part. We must sow the seed. To promote the kingdom of God on earth, we Christians must sow the seed entrusted to us. We must play our part through the preaching of the gospel and the practice of the virtues of love and compassion, mercy and forgiveness, humility and obedience, justice and equity, holiness and righteousness, option for the poor, as well as reconciliation and peace. In the task of recreating and redeeming the world, there is always something we can do, something that God will not do for us. Like the farmer, we can plant the seed, water the garden, and clear off the weeds. However, after playing our part and doing our best, we must simply wait and let God take over. It is God who oversees the mystery of growth. We can plant the seed, but we cannot make it grow. The promised kingdom of God will unfold as it should. The universe is unfolding because God is in charge, and everything works unto good for those who trust Him. God is the almighty power at work in the great process of growth, healing, recovery, and spiritual progress. We are only facilitators. God continues to direct everything quietly, unobtrusively, and imperceptibly. God's kingdom, small beginnings. Human beings have an attraction for the big, the loud, the glittering things, but that is not exactly the way the Judeo-Christian God works most of the time. We often despise small little things, but we are mistaken. Smallness, weakness, and vulnerability are a wonderful resource in the hands of God. Yes, with God, small is beautiful. In our human experience, many great enterprises have small beginnings. A great oak emerges from a tiny acorn. A great book begins with one word. A long journey begins with a single step. A huge forest fire begins with a single spark. And a lifelong relationship often begins from a chance encounter. Small, unremarkable beginnings can make for mighty outcomes. The kingdom of God is taking shape, slowly but surely, one day at a time, with small, little acts of goodness, kindness, and sacrifice. God's kingdom, playing your part. The seed of the kingdom has been planted in us at our baptism. We must, however, provide a fitting soil for it and nurture the seed with a daily life of virtue and discipline, a life of service and sacrifice, as well as a life of prayer and devotion. As God sows the seed of His kingdom in us, we are expected to, in turn, sow the seeds of Christian love in those we meet. By our demonstration of love, kindness, generosity, mercy, forgiveness, commitment to justice, protection of the poor and the weak, and the service of the common good. Yes, the parable of the seeds teaches us powerful lessons about God's ways that are very different from our human ways. The kingdom is God's project, but it will not happen without some striving on our part. We must do our best in all circumstances and leave the rest to God. And after putting in our best, we must not be discouraged by an apparent lack of positive results. Instead, we must be convinced that the seeds of love which we sow will grow in God's mysterious way. To change the world, we are to sow the seeds and patiently wait for God to do the rest. God bless you.